we have Topless joining us. Thank you, All Good, once again for joining us. We have Topless joining us on the stream now, the fourth caller. So Topless, thank you for joining us. I've seen you on my comments section before. You want to introduce yourself to some of the folks that don't know you too well?
Yeah, for sure. No one knows me, and I appreciate you having me on, especially on such short notice. I would say I've been watching you for about probably half a year now. I really like your style. You're not the type about to just try to like status flash like Lambos and stuff. Like you seem like just like a normal, humble guy in the grind, and that's definitely more my style. So for background, I've been investing since about 2014, but I would say I spent the first 3 years of them being very, very stupid. And by stupid, I mean this stuff, penny stocks and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, so my financial situation, which I wanted to get your opinion on, is something I've been grappling with for many years. So as you probably can guess, I've had a big succession of really successful YouTube channels that just have blown up. But I think you know this too. YouTube is a really unstable, inconsistent platform. I've had channels die off. I've had them be demonetized. I've had them shut down. And all the meanwhile, I've been investing during it. But the problem is that, unfortunately, putting on a personal level, putting all my eggs into the YouTube basket, my resume has a massive gap on it. And so, beyond the YouTube thing, I wonder about my ability to support myself. You know what I mean? Because, for example, I'm 27. And if you're 27 and been doing YouTube channels for so many years, and I think actually I have a degree in history, that doesn't have much use either. So I guess just to sum it up, my situation is I have a decent nest egg saved up from all the various channels I've had, and also I've been investing in gene therapy stocks, which I've done quite well. So my advice to you would be to how to best mitigate the feast and famines between YouTube channels doing well, or the fact that another YouTube channel may never take off for me again, because you just don't know.
Yeah, no, and I hear this was a phenomenal. Yeah, you mentioned it a little bit earlier. I wish I could find it. Can you do searches on here? I don't know if you can, but you mentioned it. You do have a unique situation, and I believe I have seen a couple of your YouTube channels as well, and so I was curious when you've talked to me on some of your on at least this particular YouTube channel name, and I was curious if you were some of the other channels that I followed. So I'm sure I follow and watch a lot of them that have kind of come in to and from throughout the years. But yes, it's a very unique situation, and a lot of times what I recommend to people is, I don't know how much you have. You said you have a decent amount of nest egg, but I think with your situation, and Graham Stephan mentioned this a little bit yesterday, is he was talking about this on his show. I don't know if it was his Millennial Money sort of thing or if it was his normal thing, but he was like, oh my God, like I have this YouTube sort of potential that who knows.
That's exactly how I feel. Except I've already been through the deaths. He hasn't yet. That's the only difference.
So you're all on the downcline, or you have some that are on the downcline, some on the up?
Yeah, I run about 6, and they're always going in and out. You know what I mean? So at the moment, I would say, compared to, I'll just say it frankly, I had one channel. It was demonetized recently. It was doing 20K a month. So you go from 20K to 0. I'm just telling you, it's so inconsistent. And I feel exactly the way that you said that Graham feels, that the only difference being in this case is I don't think he's ever seen, the setbacks, because channels die all the time. They do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I guess the biggest thing is for someone in your situation is, what are your expenses and how much are you making? You just said that this channel is making, say, it was making $20,000 a month, and I assume that you probably have some other ones that are making a decent amount of money as well. How much do you actually need? And I feel like if you're concerned about these potential channels going down to potential revenue, I assume you're spending way less than you're making at this point. You seem like a pretty frugal guy. I feel like with the money that you're making, you could easily get to a point where you could get your finances covered pretty easily, and get to the point where if all your channels were to die, you'd at least be okay. And I think that this seems like an angst point for you. You're kind of on this, you're trying to ride this YouTube aspect of things, to the best of your ability, and I think that you've done a really good job. At least if you're the channels. Actually, before we continue, do you mind telling us the channels? I would love to kind of keep them in the loop and see if I am actually invested in some of them.
Yeah, for sure. Oh geez, I've had so many. Let me try to get this. So I have this channel, Top List, which made educational videos, and that's on the decline. Unfortunately, YouTube decided about a year or two ago they don't like content that's about history or political conflicts. So that's kind of on the down low now. That pulls in about 1,400 a month. I had another channel called Text to Meme, so I made meme compilations, and that did very well, but that was shut down and demonetized, and I had to rebrand. I have a channel called Topsy, which had Spanish educational language content, which I rebranded to meme stuff. It's like a conglomerate. It's complicated. I have an investing channel, which I guess I'll shout out here, Eugene Chargrain, but that's pretty small. And that's about it, I think, actually, at the moment, beyond a few smaller ones. But it's mainly those. And so, like I was saying, actually, it definitely is an angst point, as you said. You definitely latched onto that correctly. And in the past, it made that much. What I'm saying now is that they're all on the down right now. And so beyond, I think, the passive income, which is about 1,400, 1,500 a month from the Topsy channel and the Top List channel, that's about it. So yeah, you can keep your expenses low, but here's the thing, I'm addicted to investing, man. Like, I want to know that I can contribute to savings, and there's only so much you can cut on your living expenses with knowing that you probably have a life expectancy of 60 years out from now. You know what I mean? And like, subsistence on passive income isn't a very good model, especially given inflation and everything else.
So yeah, I guess my quick question for you is, where are you? You said you have your investing channel. Can you remind me? It was Eugene what? I'm trying to look it up.
I must have said that quickly. It's very tiny. I just do it for fun in my free time. It's called Eugene Chargrain, CHAR, and then grain as in the stuff that makes wheat or bread, I guess.
Interesting. 73 subscribers, 10 vids.
Yeah. It's not it's just a hobby. I'm not really investing the most time I should be into it.
Well, you're getting 32 subscribers a month at least, so you're doing pretty well. But that's pretty interesting. So you're saying altogether you're only making 1,400 now? I find that hard to believe. You have like over 1 million subscribers between all of those channels.
Yeah, I do. But what really matters, though, subscribers these days, as you probably know, don't matter so much. It's your monthly views.
Yep.
If you aren't on the upswing, YouTube doesn't let you reach your subscribers. So there are over 1 million collective subscribers, but the monthly views, I would say, are only probably in the 1.5 million range between everything. And one of the channels I had to massively change just because it got demonetized. So it's a complicated situation, but the headline, the takeaway is that it's only 1,400, 1,500 a month right now. And
curious, YouTuber to YouTuber, what's your CPM looking like?
So it depends on the channel. Okay. So when I made, like, which are meme videos, meme compilations, the CPM was just abysmal. I mean, I think because it was like targeting people who didn't have much spending power. So that was honestly like 98 cents. I mean, it was just,
wow.
Yeah, that's bad. Yeah, I know that's bad. And then the education Top List channel, depending, obviously, it depends on the month, right? December being the best month, January being the worst month. Top List would do about $1.50, $2. So I hear that's actually below average too. I don't know if you have any information on that.
What'd you say it was? Sorry, I missed that very last part.
Yeah, it was $1.50 to $2 CPM for the Top List channel.
So I'm gonna feel like an asshole. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, but yeah, I mean, in comparison to what
you do, financial stuff though, that's the highest CPM by far.
Yeah, so I kind of lucked into that, right? So when I first started, I don't know how long you've been following my channel, but I was doing cigar reviews, and I was like, well, what do I love more than cigars? And they seemed so repetitive, and I didn't see myself being like a cigar review kind of guy. There was other people that I really enjoyed following more, and I like smoking cigars, but smoking like 3 cigars a week I didn't think was good. So I really like dividend investing, and that's how I kind of came into this. But as you know, I probably only really started making money from this in early 2017. And
yeah, it takes forever to get monetized.
I guess it's let's double check. I mean, sometimes over the last 20 days or so, it spikes up all the way to 20.
Jesus.
But I'd say it probably averages around 15, 16, which is still phenomenal, right?
Wow, dang.
And
Yeah,
so,
and the financial CPMs are by far the best on the site, just about. Other
yeah.
than, I guess, if you're making videos about insurance.
So I guess, for instance, I just had it up to give you an idea. For the last 28 days or so, I did make about $190
How many views?
from YouTube, and that was, is it going to show me? Off of the last, where is it? Last month. I'll pull it up on my analytics here. So in the last month, and then we can get back in it. We kind of deviated, and I apologize.
Yeah, no worries.
CPM in the last 28 days is 20.29 cents.
Jesus.
And that was off of 17,500 views. So
that's, yeah.
So you're getting like 1.5 million views, and I'm making, like, I guess, a seventh. So it's like the amount of money you're getting 1.5 million views. I'm getting, I guess, 1% of the views almost, but only making a seventh of the. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. That's a really interesting situation. So I'm curious how your Eugene channel kind of comes along, and I think I posted it in the market, or sorry, not the market, the live chat for everybody.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
But and I'm curious. I left it before I even subscribed. I'm really curious. I always like watching smaller channels, but you probably have high quality production, so I'm very curious what your
could be better, but yeah, I appreciate you saying that.
But interesting. So you're on the downswing. You don't have, so you're making only about $1,500 a month. So I can understand your concern. When you were making $20,000 a month, I guess how much? Well, I guess let me ask, how much in a portfolio do you have invested now? For those of the people that are on the channel, I might have asked you, but I was too busy.
No, you didn't. I don't want to say the specific amount. I think that's. Yeah, I'll say it's six figures. It's in the six-figure range.
Okay, so it's in the six-figure range. Is it like close to seven figures, or is it not really?
No, not close.
And I guess what are your expenses?
So I guess a good way of thinking about it is that it's similar to your taxable account, I would say.
My taxable account, meaning my, okay, so it's about 100.
Yeah. Okay. My expenses. So I live in Asia, actually. My expenses, and I do have a bit of a taste for the higher life, but you can afford it here. My expenses are about $1,000 a month.
Okay, so Asia meaning like Thailand, or like Asia like Central Land, China?
I'm in South Korea.
South Korea, and it's only $1,000 a month. That's surprising. Okay. Wow. I was expecting South Korea to be more expensive, but that's interesting.
It really depends how you live and where you live.
Okay. Wow. I have a buddy that lives there now. Now that everyone knows what I do, we're building a facility in South Korea, so he's in Busan.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah. I live in Seoul.
Okay. Yeah. So I think it's about a 2-hour train ride to where he's at. But anyway,
by KTX, yeah.
Yeah, he was asking me to come visit him, and it's pretty difficult to get there from Trinidad and Tobago. But
you should. It's great here.
I should. Yeah, he shows me some funny videos of people singing karaoke all the time. And
yeah, that's the best part. Yeah,
it's the best. And he's just like, I have no idea what they're saying, and I think it's so funny. But anyway,
you're speaking in Korean, kind of curious and then we'll get back on topic.
Zero Korean. Zero? Yeah, I mean, he's like an Irish, not from Ireland, but Irish descent gentleman. So speaks pure English. Grew up in Florida, so they shipped him over to Korea, and he's just like, "What am I doing?" But anyway, back to you. So that's interesting. So your expenses. I'm sorry, I kind of missed that part of it. So what is like your monthly expenses? Is it like 2,000?
Right. So
no, you said 1,000.
So subsistence is 1,100. If I want to have a good time, though, it gets up to 1,500.
Okay, so 1,500. So you would be looking for probably about 1,500 times 12. I'm not good with mental math, but times 12, so about $18,000 to $20,000 a year. And you currently have, about between 100 and 200,000. So yeah, you're probably looking to double or triple where you're at now to be able to get.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. Well, what you could do easily is you probably have a unique talent where you could almost create a business, whether it's working with people in Korea. Anyway, I don't want to do that because that's obviously but that's a really good conversation. And in fact, I would love to get input from you because me and Passive Income Investor are trying to create our own sort of YouTube sort of website, sort of blog, sort of stuff like that. But that's a different story for a different day. So anyway, what's your portfolio kind of average in terms of dividend yield?
My dividend yield is about 4.34%, I would say.
Okay,
so let me go over my strategy really quick. I've spent the 10 years, last 10 years, I would say the last 8 years obsessively following biotech. And I've reached a point where I think I have a decent grasp over it. But beyond that, I'm not going to pretend I understand a single thing. So the rest is just straight dividend ETFs. That's it. So about half-half.
Half-half. Okay, so does the biotech really pay a lot of dividends, or is it like in the 1% range?
We're talking pre-commercial, hyper-speculative.
Okay, I understand that.
I'm an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah, I've been in that space as well. So are you day trading that, or is that long term?
All along investing. I'll tell people I invest these days. I focus on gene therapies, and there's a lot of mergers and acquisitions going on in there right now.
Okay, interesting. I'd have to take a look. I know literally near nothing about it, so it's really interesting to.
Yeah, don't worry about it. That's how much I know about everything else. So yeah, definitely relatable.
That's really cool. So your thought is how in a point where you are struggling to continue growing the YouTube channel, how do you get it to the point where you can, create other ways to invest so that way you can become relevant?
Grow it. Yeah. Exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. It's tough. It really is.
Yeah, that's real.
You're only as good as your last success, and there's no guarantee you'll take off again.
Yeah, well, hopefully, I mean, you get a little jump start on the Eugene Chargan.
Really appreciate that.
And I'm sure if you in the future want to come back and do a live stream with camera and stuff like that,
I'd be happy to. Yeah,
do that.
We're only just scratching the surface right now.
Yeah, so I'd be curious. I mean, especially if you start doing more highly speculative investing, there are some folks that do a lot of day trading in the finance aspect of
I know what you mean. I don't like day trading though. I mean,
well, no, I meant that you kind of have a niche in the fact that you don't day trade. There are people that do day trading. There's a lot of competition kind of coming into the dividend investing world, obviously, with the people around my group that have the 1,000 to 3,000 sort of subscriber range. But you kind of have your own niche there with having, gene therapy. I mean, I don't think anybody knows anything about that. So, I mean, if you kind of create a channel potentially around that, which is more speculative investing, albeit it is long term, that would be really interesting, and I definitely would watch it as well. That's crazy.
Oh, I didn't consider that. I think before it was lacking focus. I was talking about that, dividends, just everything. You have a good point on that.
Yeah, so I mean, you could go slow and steady, and depending on your production quality. I have horrible production quality, generally speaking, comparatively to like financial education and grant.
You're definitely improving, and I know, at least for me, I only really care about the content. I'll listen to someone with poor audio just as long as the content's there, But yeah. I get that the average viewer is not necessarily like that, but I can tell you've been improving. I'm seeing custom thumbnails. You're getting better at delivering when you're talking extemporaneously. I think you're on a good path, I would say, from my professional opinion, I guess.
No, thank you. That means a lot. Part of this is like I'm doing it as well for me, because as you know, if you're trying to put content into a channel and it's not working, it gets very stressful.
Yeah.
And especially when you see some other folks, and you probably have this as well. I call it YouTube envy, but you see people with more of a subpar content, but they deliver it better, and so they end up getting, I guess, more recognition, even though.
Or worse, when they steal your ideas.
I've never had that. You probably have a lot more experience of that when. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I never thought about that.
So yours is more unique. I don't really see anyone, like going on the copying thing. I don't think you really have to worry about it. But yeah, it's definitely an example of, I guess, what you're calling YouTube envy.
Yeah, well, I see a lot of people even like they just have like they do the same sort of thing every single day, and it's kind of like I'm not really learning. I personally would rather not put out a product if it seems very repetitive. Uh,
You might have to part with that way of thinking. See, here's the
yeah,
thing. At least how I see it. Part of listen, most people have no one in the world to talk about investing with. I think you know that. I know that. And the point of the daily content, even if it's repetitive, it's like the comment section. It's like the water cooler. It's the daily radio show to talk around.
mm,
And YouTube is all about momentum. It's all about view velocity. If you're getting the views up, you'll get recommended more and more and more. And if you start to slip, you get throttled. It's a vicious treadmill. And so I think you're actually even kind of doing that right now with something like this. Like you're not really pre-planning the content, but it's a place to hang out, talk. I would say you're probably open to that idea if I had to guess. Between just like not making a video, not necessarily with a purpose, but just doing
yeah,
it anyway.
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm kind of curious what your thought is. I mean, I'll be sure to talk to you more in the
Yeah,
future.
please feel free to talk to me off stream. I don't have Facebook or Instagram, but you can Twitter DM me, and I have an email too. I can send you.
Okay, that's crazy. Yeah, this is real interesting. I had no idea. Uh, I mean, I kind of had an idea that Top List was big, but I never really clicked on it, to be honest with you. So, is Top List the one that got demonetized?
It's still monetized. So that's what's providing the majority of the income. I had a channel called Text to Meme, which made meme compilations, and that was pulling like, oh goodness, like 15-20 million dollars a month. Or not yet $1 million. I wish. Million views a month, and then correspondingly about a $1 CPM. I think you know this too, but like the worst thing about YouTube is that it's self-employed income. So you get annihilated on taxes. It's horrible.
Yeah, well, I think this will be the first year I make above 1,000. So in the
Yeah, that's
past,
true. Yeah.
I never had to really worry about it, but this year I'll for sure need to worry about it.
That's why I try to get as much as possible from the YouTube stream of income to the dividend passive income thing, because the tax treatment is just so superior.
Mm. Yeah. So what platform are you utilizing? Are you utilizing Fidelity, Vanguard, or?
I have, so I'll tell you the three I have and then the two I actually use. So I have Robinhood, Fidelity, and TD Ameritrade, soon to be Charles Schwab. I mainly use Fidelity and TD Ameritrade.
Okay. Why don't you use Robinhood?
You know, it came up like I said, I've been investing since about 2013, 2014. It wasn't around back then. I would say that's the only reason. And Robinhood too, I don't think it's really catering to someone in my style. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not like TD Ameritrade has commissions any longer, so what's the point?
Yeah. No, I have $40 in my Robinhood, and I think people would probably now like being like, "What?" And the only reason why, to be 100%
I think I have my free stock. That's about it.
yeah, I think the only reason why I had made a M1 Finance account is because everyone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt. I do have M1 Finance as well. I forgot about that. But that's
Okay.
that's triple digits. I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, so I mean, the only reason why I made M1 Finance is because everyone else has M1 Finance, and I felt like I had to jump on the bandwagon.
It's interesting. It's an interesting platform, and also too, I have to admit, it makes for good YouTube videos. The interface looks awesome.
It does.
I mean, if you're I'm just being honest, Fidelity, it looks like it's 1998 in there. It just doesn't make a good platform for making videos. Neither does TD Ameritrade, to be frank. It's not as bad though.
Yeah. Well, the Thinkorswim platform is pretty good. Is that TD Ameritrade? I don't remember.
Yeah, that's TD Ameritrade.
Yeah, so that doesn't look half bad, but maybe it's just because it's got a dark background. I'm a sucker for dark background.
Here's the thing. It looks too technical though for the average person watching investing videos. I would say that. Like people see that and they see candlesticks and they think, oh, geez, that's too much.
Yeah, I'm logging off. I have no idea what's going on. Yeah, 100%. So that's interesting. So you're in a very interesting predicament. So you're basically at the moment making enough YouTube income where you can meet your expenses. And you're also trying to grow your dividend income so you don't have to worry about a YouTube income.
Exactly.
Wow. And obviously, I have a stupid question, but do you have a work permit to work in South Korea?
So I don't want to talk about the visa situation, but I'm all square on that.
Okay. No,
and if I could get, I think the only limiting factor for being employed here is my skill set. And my skill set over the past few years has really just been YouTube. That's it.
That's really interesting.
And I worry about the long-term viability of the platform. I mean, it probably won't affect you. Because you're 100% square, but the change is coming up with like the content guidelines and
Yeah.
restrictions for kids and all that. I guarantee you won't be affected by it, but it's a concern for a lot of us, I would say.
But yeah, I mean, it was simple as like sometimes I watch big YouTubers. Mostly I focus on the finance, but every once in a while I'll watch like a Tanner Fox or something like that. And I was watching him. He got a Hot Wheels track or something made, and I was like, "This is directed directly to children." I'm just like, I was like trying to think. I was like, "How does this affect him?" This, that, like all these new things now. And I even just went on Amazon to try to like. I used to have an Amazon affiliate link, and I have no idea what it used to be. So now
those are generally pointless.
Yeah, I'm signing up again for Amazon just to get another $1 or $2. But I went on there, and it was like asking about kids on there as well.
Yeah, here's the thing, man. YouTube, it's not what it used to be. Just online in general is not what it used to be 4 years ago. And you can kind of see like the I'll call it regulatory for lack of a better term. The regulatory restrictions on people are actually getting to the point where it's approaching what cable TV used to be, right? If you need to be compliant with all these guidelines and regulations for children's content beyond all the stuff YouTubers are already dealing with, which I won't get into, the only people who can survive are the larger operations who can, again, afford their regulatory burden, and that's the direction I see it in. I think it's going to become as regulated as TV going forward, and there will be independent people on there, don't get me wrong, but you're going to need a team to be compliant. That's the way I see it. I don't know if you agree or not.
No, 100%. I mean, the fact that you're starting to get to the point where YouTube can bring litigation against you. You're going to have to get a lawyer. You know what I mean? It's like now it's more of a business. It used to be something that people used to be able to operate out of their
cottage industry.
Yeah. And now it's getting to the point where, just like with a lot of things, regulation increases the cost of business. And you're right. I mean, you're going to end up losing the small sort of mom and pop that, and in my opinion, I get more satisfaction watching those guys.
Yeah, me too.
Than some of the big names. But I feel bad because I keep going back to making money on YouTube and stuff like that without.
Hey, listen, no problem at all, man. That's my life's energy. That's what I do. I could talk about that all day.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how recent was the demonetization like last month? Was it like 3 months ago?
It was in August. And so I'll tell you one thing: when you're demonetized, and I'm telling you, it can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
YouTube pockets your last month's of revenue if it isn't paid out on AdSense. They just pocket it. So I had 15 grand sitting in that in limbo, and I emailed them saying, "Oh, sorry, if you don't get remonetized, we keep it," which I think is ridiculous. But what am I going to do against Google? So
did they give you a reason?
So no, that's just how YouTube it is. That's why, like, I love this as my passion, but I don't think it's a good career to get into for most people. I think you're fine. I think you're going to be fine, barring unless the SEC has a freak out like the FTC, which is possible. It's definitely possible. There are a lot of scammy investing channels out there. I don't want to jinx it. You're probably fine.
You're probably fine. Yeah.
I want to say that. I really do. I really want to say this. It's doing good for most YouTubers.
It's in the back of my head every time I make.
You should. It's not the best career path to get into. You can have. Listen, the income, it goes feast and famine. It's mentally taxing to deal with that. You don't get health insurance. You get taxed at a self-employment rate. It could be better. I mean, if you're pulling like a gram, 100K a month, then yeah, sure, whatever. And also he has other stuff, but that's part of why I'm always on the edge. I want to get out, but this is what I do. I frankly, not to seem arrogant, and I apologize if I do, I'm good at this. I know I'm good at this.
Well, yeah, I mean, over the course of, cumulatively, you have over 1 million subscribers. At some point, you're obviously doing something right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also too, here's the thing. Maybe we're getting to ego territory here, but I've had channels die and come back so many times. I don't think there aren't many people out there who have survived as many channel collapses as I have, and that takes you have to understand things in general, and also too, I've been in so many different genres. I've been in education. I've made entertainment content. I've made gaming content. I've done everything, and all of them, relatively successful. So it's a versatility I think I have that it's great on YouTube, but the platform is changing, which worries me.
Yeah, that is. This is really interesting. But I am curious, then I want to go back in and specifically talk about your portfolio. So hold me to that. I'm
Sure.
curious if you really like this live stream format where you kind of have random people kind of just jumping on and kind of hearing from an outsider's perspective rather than YouTubers. Because I feel like most of the time people only bring on other YouTubers.
Right. So I hit a button by accident. So I think it's an excellent form of supplemental content. Right. So it should almost never be the mainstay. And then on top of that, too, is that you're at a good point right now, and it might stay this way, where frankly, your community's tight knit, they're awesome, they're engaged. As you get larger, you will have to mediate that. So I've done a lot of live streaming actually over the years. I was really into IRL live streaming, which is you go out with your phone and you go around and travel and stuff. And frankly, those are huge cash cows if you do it right. If you do it right, they're really big cash cows. But the bigger you get, the more problems that come with it. So you'd have to definitely moderate as it goes on. And here's the thing too, like the live format will always earn more money than just advertisements. I mean, think about Dave Ramsey, Graham Stephan. Those aren't even a live stream, but I think they're punching heavier than just the mainstream or the mainstay videos they make. Yeah. So if you get super chats going, if you get monetization incentives, here's the thing. Like, haven't you noticed over the past, I'd say 1 year, 2 year, everybody and their cousin starting a podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a reason for that, because pound for pound, they make so much more money and they send engagement through the roof. That's my view on it on a very broad level. I could get into more detail if there's a specific question you have.
But it's interesting, though, and then please hold me to the fact that I want to get back to your investing, because I would love to get into that. But I've had this question I've asked people. Excuse me. I most of the time end up losing subscribers or on my videos when I go back to look.
When you upload. When you upload, right?
No, when specifically the live streams. So live streams will go live, and you can look at the analytics of the live streams, and I'll see one or two people drop off. I don't know if it's my face or the way I talk.
Come on, man.
Or what? But there are some. Like the most recent one I did was really well received. I didn't lose subscribers on that one, but it's interesting that most of my videos, they'll either have 0 or, some of them have up to over 100, 200 or so subscribers at this point. You probably have ones with some 10,000 or maybe, 100,000 subscribers off of some video.
We're not even remotely in the same lane, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, so, but it's just interesting. So you start talking about how you can make money by going live. I find it hard to believe because I would make more money grinding through making 3.5 hours worth of videos than I would be doing live stream. So I'm curious.
At this moment right now, that is true for you. Here's the thing though. Live stream content is spontaneous. It doesn't require pre-planning, pre-effort. It just happens. So the burden on you, frankly, I don't think it's very hard for you to have a conversation with someone. You seem pretty affable and pretty easy to just take things as they come, right? So, here you have random people jumping in and you're taking it in stride. So I think you have the personality for it. Now, the one thing I forgot to mention before, and I will add, is that live streaming requires a critical mass. And what I mean by that is if the channel isn't known for it or can sustain a live streaming community well, it will harm you algorithmically. And that's why many channels decide to segregate the live streams from their main content. And so you were witnessing it. Exactly. So you were witnessing it on a smaller scale. And here's the reason. Right. I would say of an audience, usually only 5% of them are actually interested in participating in a live stream as it happens. And also notifications for live streams do go out more faithfully than videos, but they can be an annoyance. And that's why they trigger unsubscribes, which are dangerous. But I wouldn't worry so much about subscribers. Again, subscribers are a vestigial part of YouTube. Most people are driving content through their homepage, not the subscription feed. So if the algorithm knows you like a channel, even if you're not subbed, they'll put the video in your home feed. In fact, sometimes they'll send you notifications for channels you're not even subscribed to. So I wouldn't worry that so much. But yeah, generally the solution people pick is that they wait until their audience is at a big enough size or critical mass. They create highlight content. So they take the old streams and take out the interesting bits. That drives interest. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, did I mention this already? They segregate it as well.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I've been meaning to do is at this point I have probably over 20 hours of live stream content that I need to go back, and I've really only gone through one of those live streams and actually cut it up into useful sort of small clips here and there.
It takes effort. Yeah, I would outsource it if that's feasible.
That's actually a good point. But one of the things is, like, I have now 4 good conversations that I could easily now with these 4
one by one. Yeah, you're thinking the right way.
And maybe not everyone wants to hear about, say, the real estate guy, but somebody might be really interested, as I'm sure a lot of the guys like Hidden Freedom Investor and Gen X Dividend Investor are loving the YouTube aspect of the things that you're bringing to the conversation right now, because I'm learning a crap ton from you. And I'm sure other people, would love to hear what Allgood was talking about, being 65 and an investor.
Yeah, I caught the end of that. That was really good. It had me hooked.
And I'm super excited. I'm super happy that I've been like bugging the crap out of her as a joke almost, but the fact that I saw her on was priceless. So, but back to your investing. So, what's your thought? I mean, I'm more curious and asking more. Honestly, I don't know what I would do in your situation. So, I mean, you're continuing to see your revenue decline. You used to be able to siphon away a decent chunk of change, but now your kind of income stream is drying up, but you still want to make sure that you're able to get investing. I mean, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's a good jumping off point. So there's like a triforker, I guess, Trident. There we go. Trident in the road. I could go full cash flow. Like, like I know people rag on them, but there are some good BDCs. They cash flow well. You're kind of sacrificing growth definitely for that. Like, I mean, the year-to-day returns usually on like the ignoring tax, the 9 to 10% range. S&P does obviously above that. I could, it's risky. I could also double down on like the hyper speculative biotech stuff. Like, I've had a string of wins, like mergers and acquisitions. Those often 2x, sometimes even 5x. And if you know what you're doing, it's really crazy. Don't recommend it for most people. In fact, don't copy me, don't follow me. I make YouTube videos. I don't know what I'm talking about, everyone, so don't listen to me. And then finally too is that, I guess trying to increase the income side somehow, but I definitely feel limited by my skill set.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, yeah, I mean, I honestly hope that the finance aspect thing works for you. I mean, like you said, you've done the gaming aspect, you've done a bunch of different ones, so hopefully this one's able to work, and it has a decent CPM to it as well. So you need you need a lot less folks, and even someone that just, I don't know if the other guys that want to chirp in, a lot of these guys just hit 1,000 subs themselves, so they probably are seeing their first couple paydays themselves. But even some of the folks that I've talked to that are at 1,200 subscribers, they're making $13, $14 per CPM, and I'm just like, that's astonishing. I mean, there's some of my videos that I've seen average like $30 a CPM.
Wow.
But
I've never seen that.
I have another stupid question for you, and then Jesus, I keep deviating from the topic of wanting to get to your portfolio and diving deep into that. But
sure.
Do you ever notice, and I'm not sure for you, do you ever notice that the first 1 or 2 days your CPM is a lot lower and then it kind of builds over time, or is that just me?
I don't track the daily CPM. Do you mean revenue or actually CPM?
CPM.
Yeah, I don't track that.
Okay, because what will end up happening is like it's $8 or $9 the first day, $12 to $13, and then it kind of builds up to either 15 or sometimes up to 20.
Yeah, here's the thing, man. I think you're an analytical guy. You dive in deep, but sometimes sometimes it's extraneous information. Even if there were a pattern to it, I mean, how much could you realistically micromanage that to see a gain? Yeah. Maybe you could. You're an engineer, I guess. Yeah. I don't really pay attention to that, though. I care more about content strategy, how it appears, like that sort of thing, like the qualitative stuff.
No, and I think that focusing on that sort of stuff is, I don't want to say it's detrimental, but you're right. I mean, I could focus my mental capacity on things that are more important, like getting the content.
All of that, exactly. All of that is relevant at the end of the day. Is if you don't have a video hitting people's homepages, all the stats in the world aren't going to drive people to your channel. You have to have something for people to watch, and it has to be good. I think content strategy is the most important.
So I'm curious what what is your, because you were talking about the Trident and then we kind of got off topic again. So your thought is, hopefully, are you trying to go all in on the finance aspect of the YouTube aspect so you can kind of get the income stream going again? Or
I could do it again, man, but you know how it is. I can tell you're out here. I hate the word hustle, but that's what people use. You're out here. I can tell you're grinding it. You're hitting it, and getting a channel started. It's like climbing Mount Everest, and I've done it already 3 or 4 times. Eventually, you get tired starting over.
For sure.
But it's and I'm 27, right? So I probably could pivot if I retrain something, but the window on that is definitely closing. Because as you get older, you don't absorb information as well. You're not as like mentally flexible. I'm sure you know how that is.
Now I'm curious. So what's the short term plan? I mean, obviously you're going to keep trying to ride the YouTube thing, but I mean, are you going to, like you said, you could try to retrain, or so are you going to just try to hustle and get the channel up and going so you can continue to add to the portfolio? Or
I'm in the midst of all 3. I think I'll try another one. There's still a few things I can try. I could go casino mode on some of the other investments and boom my way out of it. I won't lie and say I'm not thinking about it. I won't lie. I am thinking about it. I know it's dumb, but and then, shoot, what was the other one? I don't remember. But yeah, I'm considering all 3, kind of potentially even doing all 3 at the same time. But until one yields results, I can't really say,
So what brought you originally to South Korea? Was it originally the teaching aspect of things, and then you kind of got started on YouTube, and then you kind of just...
Yeah, I guess that's more of like a life philosophy thing. So I don't teach at the moment. I don't have any plans to do that. So when my YouTube stuff blew up, I reached the point where I was pretty comfortable and I wouldn't really have to worry. So then I became more concerned with quality of life things. And so one of my bucket list items has been to learn a language that's extremely difficult, and Korean definitely is up there. I think it's a category 3 on the I think the State Department, how they classify languages. It's one of the hardest. So I guess you can call it personal fulfillment. And I actually did decide. Everyone always says, "Oh, I didn't spend my 20s well enough. Oh, I delayed gratifications too long." I decided to make the most of my time when I was young.
Yeah, I mean, you're making decent amount of money.
It could blow up in my face someday later too. You never know.
Yeah. I mean, I think that happens to a lot of YouTubers. I mean, I was looking at Logan Paul. He's making obviously a crap ton of money from YouTube.
Yeah, he's not a good example. There are graveyards with gaming channels that had their time in the sun for a year. They got out of the workforce, and it did not end up well for them.
Yeah, so I'm sure he's but that could have easily. I mean, he's bringing his way back now with the podcasts and stuff like that. But I mean, in 2017, it easily could have gone the other way, like you mentioned.
Hey, props to him, man. He's persistent, right? So he actually was on Vine originally, if you remember. Yeah. Vine died hard. What if he never came back? You know? And
there are a lot of Viners that never ended up making it.
Exactly. And every time you start over, you run that risk.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that. But he had a really good. So FouseyTube did a Cribs video with him, and he's got a pretty cool setup now, because obviously he's doing podcasts. He's living content creation, which is interesting. But anyway, enough about that. I'm curious, do you want to continue to talk about dividends or your portfolio? Or there seems to be a lot of content creators in the stream that would love to continue to skyrocket back. I'm like looking, and there's stuff all the way back from like half an hour ago that people are like chirping up.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't see the chat. If you could relay some of them, I'd be happy to answer.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. I'm more than happy to like let them keep building.
Actually, let's do like a series of questions at the end. I do actually want to talk about the specifics, because it is possible I could more effectively manage my dividends.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what kind of questions you have. I'd love to answer, but I feel like I'm just like trying to think what I would do as like a declining revenue stream, trying to build a portfolio. I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's down to two things. Like, so I'm not going to pretend I'm a genius and I understand how many burgers McDonald's is going to sell the next year. I mean, McDonald's, if you're to compare it to GDP, it's a small country, right? And you don't, not even a small country, actually, probably a decent sized one. I don't know what's going to happen with that. So I usually stick with ETFs. I know I'm probably losing out on probably a basis point, half a basis point on
Mhm.
Like if I were to micromanage it, but that's not for me. I'm already have my fingers in so many pies. So I feel like, I guess a 4.34% yield, that's not too bad, right?
No, it's not, especially average, because that obviously means you, like you mentioned, you probably have some closed-end funds, and then you got. So in that
Exactly.
respect,
Yeah.
I mean, 4% with where
Take
you're
off
at.
2 for inflation, though.
Yeah, I mean that's true, but at the moment you need the cash now, so you don't really have to worry about the inflation, right? And long term, I agree with you though. So long term growing that, I agree. You have to take off the 2%. But when you're using the cash now, you don't have to really worry about the inflation. So I don't know. I mean, you could, like you said earlier. I mean, you could definitely like go the high risk route, 8 to 10% yielding companies, and then you're going to be getting, the $1,000 a month you need from the portfolio size you have.
Yeah. I
But
have some of a background in BDCs. In fact, I've played some of the preferreds pretty well, and you can beat people out there because the volume is so low.
but at the same time, like you said, like and that's a strategy that I plan to deploy in my personal strategy. Is at the
Amping up
moment
the cash flow.
yeah, amp up the cash flow now because I'm young. I can take the risk, and once I get to the point where I become financially independent, it becomes more of the conservation strategy for me. Whether that's siphoning off money from the dividend portfolio to invest in real estate or another business.
I've considered real estate as well.
Yeah, and so that's the thought. Is it's like at the moment the goal for me is to chase the financially free aspect of things, and as I get more financially free and the income continues to grow, because it will, just based off of like generally speaking the dividend growth that I've seen over the past couple of years. Granted, it might take a dip if we have a recession in a year or two, but then it'll continue to grow as the recession kind of ends and we go back into a expansion business cycle again. But the thought would be is as I get older, more financially free, once I hit my $50,000 US a year target, then I can start backing off on the higher dividends. I think for me,
Interesting. I thought it would be the opposite.
No, I mean I wouldn't back off like completely on the dividends, but I'd be backing off on the yield. So you're saying if I become more financially free, why wouldn't I up the yield? Because I could get more risky?
No, I mean, I'm mainly factoring in your age. It actually, I know, like that's part of why I don't do it because I think that cash flowing now in exchange for future gains or growth when time is on my side, I don't like that because I feel like I'm mortgaging my future.
Yeah, no, it makes no. I can 100% understand that as well, because I think a lot of people, when they look at my portfolio, they're like, "Why are you investing in companies that on average are yielding you between 4 and 5%?" I mean, that that at someone that's 28 doesn't make sense. You'd expect me to be investing in things like Apple, Google, Amazon.
Oh, don't take me for a growth investor. I don't necessarily think you were saying that, but yeah, like for me, it has to have a dividend.
Yeah,
It changes the psychology entirely.
yeah. So, yeah, interesting enough. I mean, it's very interesting. I see the predicament that you're at, and I've had people on my channel comment before, like, "Why is your dividend so low?" I remember specifically somebody. I'm going to mess up the words, but I have a $75,000 portfolio, and I'm making more than you are in dividends, and you have, I guess the dividend.
Yeah, you could for like a year to date yield of like 5%. Yeah, you could. You're just cash flowing the basis. That's it.
The dividend aspect of my portfolio is like 3 times that. It's probably around 250 or so, and then I have the 401k, which I have no idea what kind of dividends come from that, but because I can't track it. But yeah, I mean, you could do that. I've heard people investing in stuff that 20% yield, and I'm just like,
highest I'd go is 10. There's some like people like to rag on BDCs, but there are some that hold up all right.
Yeah, and that's why I like Main Street Capital. Actually, they invest.
Yeah, me too.
They have a pretty good business model. They look for small to medium sized companies, and they've done well, respectively, since 2012. So hopefully the success continues. But they've had good success before they went public as well. So
I actually have a question for you. This is more specific. So, are you familiar with the ETFs SPHD and SPYD?
SPHD, I know a lot of people invest in. SPYD, I don't know.
Okay, so Yeah, this is. I feel like I'm insane for thinking this. I don't think SPHD is all that great. I think SPHD, it's low volatility monthly dividend. That's the appeal. I think the expense ratio is zero point 0.2, and the yield is down by about compared to SPYD, which pays quarterly, and they have different holdings. Uh, it's about again zero point 0.2 expense ratio versus 0.7. So to me, I think SPYD, if you just have the patience of quarterly, is superior by every metric to SPHD. But I never see anyone say that, so I feel like I'm insane. So I just want you to validate: am I on the right track here?
I'm looking here at SPHD, and I see a 0.3%.
Oh yeah, my mistake. Yeah, it's worse than I said.
4% yield, 4.2% yield. That's interesting. So let's look up
Check out SPYD. Yeah.
This is fun.
And then we should get to questions after that, because actually I probably should go in about 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, it's what, like 1 o'clock there, or
1 p.m. But I got stuff going on.
Yeah. Why isn't this showing up? Okay, here we go. So yeah, like you said, expense ratio is down by 23 basis points, so it's 0.07, which is comparable to a lot of Vanguard.
Exactly.
Assets under management only $2 billion compared to SPHD. How much has that got? 3.5. So almost SPHD is almost double. Yield is 4.42. Like you said, that makes sense. It's spread about twice as many holdings. Well, SPHD's got 51. SPYD is about 81. But yeah, let's see. So what are the top holdings? So the top 10 holdings are like Leggett and Platt, Cardinal Health, Nordstrom, Seagate, Campbell, Weyerhaeuser, CenturyLink, AbbVie, Western Union, and then SPHD. Let's see where they have their top 10. I feel like SPHD probably has less volatile top 10. No, there's some.
Look at the yeah, exactly. Yeah, look at the year-to-date returns on both of them too.
Yeah, Iron Mountain, Kimco, AT&T, Ulterior Group, Philip Morris, One OK, Western Union. So yeah, both of them have some things that I would buy individually, like the Philip Morris, Ulterior Group's AT&T, and then like SPYD, I would probably buy Campbell Soup and AbbVie for sure. Maybe not right now.
AbbVie, definitely.
But AbbVie when it was a little cheaper, maybe a couple months ago. But even still, I think it's a good buy. But yeah, what did you ask? What the year to date is? Yeah, I'm curious now. Based on,
look which one's better.
Where's the? Can I even get?
It should show up on Yahoo Finance.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up on Yahoo. I'm looking on. Well, I forgot what it was. It was like ATF.com or something. Let's see. SPHD. Let's see, man. SPHD. Oh, it's actually 12:15 a.m. here. I should go to bed myself. SPHD, Yahoo Finance. Why are you taking forever? But yeah, I know a lot of people are praising SPHD. Every time I hear somebody talk, they talk.
Yeah.
I don't care about SP. SPHD is what I care about. Invesco, S&P 500. Okay. So year to date, what is it up? From 38 to 42, so just over 10%ish or so.
It should include dividends reinvested. That's an important metric too.
That is important.
It should say on Yahoo Finance, inclusive of dividends and reinvested, the YTD return.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Where does it say year to date? Let's just look at chart. Under chart? Is that what you're looking under?
It's usually just on the summary page. I mean, I can save you time. From what I see, SPYD has a superior year-to-date return as well.
SPYD change year over year. Oh, year-to-date totally 16. Yeah. And then.
Am I missing something? I feel like no one ever says anything about this.
19, huh? Interesting.
The only difference I see, qualitatively is, well, I guess expense ratio isn't qualitatively, but that and monthly versus quarterly. And you know the fallacy of monthly versus quarterly, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I know a lot of people that are always chasing the monthly dividend yielders, and that kind of goes back to the chicken and the egg, 8%, 10% yielders. Are you comfortable with that? And some people I originally was investing in, say, Realty Income Corp for the monthly dividend, and I found out it was actually a pretty good quality dividend payer. So I stuck.
Oh yeah, that's genuinely a good company. There's nothing inherently wrong with monthly, but it again, it narrows your focus.
Yeah, and I think that's what it kind of blinds people, puts blinders on, like the horses that race. They can't see anything other than, say, monthly dividend players, because they did a calculation once on an Excel spreadsheet, and I understand where they're coming from, and they mean well, but anyway, yeah, really. Really interesting concepts. But yeah, I mean, SPYD, if I were to do ETF investing, that would probably be far superior. 0.3% expense ratio in this day and age is absurd. I feel for people
Agree.
that are doing that. I mean, I would say 3-4 years ago that was probably been acceptable, but I mean, before the zero commission sort of battle that's been going on, I mean, Vanguard and Fidelity were going back and forth, and between who could get the lowest expense ratio down for their S&P 500 fund. And I remember it used to be like 0.15 or something when I first started investing in Vanguard back in the day, when I had a Vanguard when I was in high school or early college. And then it started getting to below, it went to 0.1, then Fidelity did the same. It was at like 0.12, then it went down to like 0.09, and they were doing the battle there before they were doing the zero commission sort of stuff as well. But
yeah, just as a headline though, would you agree with my assessment though that one seems to be better than the other, yet SPHD is the holy grail?
Yeah, I mean, just based off of the initial stuff, I'd want to dig more into the holdings that it's holding. But just on the surface, it looks like it's probably superior, but my fear is that maybe it's got too much, potentially too much technology or something like that. But just looking at SPYD, I mean, you got Realty Income Corp, AbbVie, AT&T. I mean, those are all three companies at the moment that I invest in. So
yeah, they're solid. There definitely are. There might be a difference in the holdings. I wasn't. I wanted broad exposure. That's what I was interested in. I own both, by the way. But
yeah, I know a lot of people do HDV as well, which I guess is high dividend from iShares. What's that expense ratio? Now I'm curious. 0.08, yeah.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
A little bit lower yield though.
Yeah, yield's lower.
But this is more like
you really should only look at the year-to-date return. I mean, I reinvest anyway, so
yeah,
that's kind of more important than the yield.
Yeah, I'm with you there. But anyway, yeah. Do you want to answer some questions before?
Yeah, let's. Yeah, exactly. We can do some rapid fire, then I get going. And I appreciate you having me on.
No, I appreciate it. Hopefully, be able to talk about it a little bit more. So let's see. I'll be able to put them on the screen here. So HFI. I use big glitchy times. Okay. There's that one. So why do people do dividend investing? They don't care about the value of the portfolio. I'm curious what your thoughts are, but then more looking for some of the other ones here.
Why people say that they're using dividend investing and they don't care about the value? I never said I don't care about the value of the portfolio.
I think he was talking. I talk about.
Yeah, that's more for you, I would say.
Yeah, I personally I look for the dividends, so that's really the answer. But of course, generally speaking, they go hand in hand. Of course, if a company's lost 50% of its value, it probably also cut the dividend. So, but maybe not always. Somebody asked, "Are you trying to focus on your new finance channel?"
No, it's not a focus. It could become one, but no, it's not a focus right now. I'm trying to resurrect the meme content one. There's still a few ways I could do that, and I think that has more potential. Right now, the finance one is just a passion project. I like the type of investing I do. I don't think has broad appeal, which is like a mixture of like boring as hell dividend ETFs and like these crazy hyper speculative biotechs. Like I just don't like. I'm a content strategy guy, and I don't see the broad appeal of that. So it's just more for my therapy because. Hey, I think this is true for everyone in your personal lives. As actually the previous caller was saying, there's not many people to talk about this with.
Yeah, no, 100%. Somebody, Gen X Dividend Investor asked, imagines that long or live streaming is short-term profit versus less long-term profit. How would live streams get a high view count post being
Okay, he is exactly right. So usually I would say a live stream content should always be supplemental. If your primary content is live stream and that's it, what that means is you're coasting on past glories. It's a good way of cashing in on popularity that's already been built up, but I would never use it as a primary, right? So that's the problem. Like, you know about Twitch, right?
Yeah.
There are dozens, I mean, hundreds, thousands of people on there who just start streaming with no background and no reason for why anyone should watch them. And they go nowhere. The generally accepted strategy is that you build up an audience on YouTube, get people to follow you for you with pre-recorded videos, then live stream. So the person writing this is getting onto the right idea that, again, live stream should be supplemental and also for when people already know you and take you seriously. And monetization on streams is much more effective and versatile than with YouTube videos, I would say. You get live interactivity and people place a premium on getting your attention during that live stream. So obviously, super chat. Hey, you get, I think you had some super chats this video, right? And, all it takes is 2 or 3 super chats to beat a normal video. So, and also too, this is more qualitative, but it puts audience engagement and investment into you and your personality and your channel through the roof. There's a lot to go in that, but I think that answered his question.
Yeah, I feel bad if there's any super chats. I'm looking at the stream through the StreamYard, so I apologize if I missed your super chat. I got one last week when I did a live stream. And,
you can see them in the dashboard if you go and look.
If you're looking on YouTube, I would assume.
Yeah, on YouTube. Yeah, under the live dashboard, you should see previous super chats. I'd hate for them to ask something or say something and then not get noticed for it.
Crap. Yeah, I should probably do that. Next time I definitely will for sure. I'm really see. So you said under dashboard, huh?
Under the live streaming tab.
Oh, live streaming tab. Okay, let me go there.
At least under the old one. I know they changed to YouTube Studio recently.
There's videos. I don't know. Hopefully I don't lose you guys here. Computer's bugging out. That's another thing. I need a new computer. This thing is ancient at this point. Live. Whoops.
Yeah, that is another thing. Live streaming requires a good computer.
So let's see. Likes, comments. We'll go on here. Hopefully it doesn't have volume on, which it does. But you can see monetization, analytics, channel status, competitors. Maybe, is it under monetization, you think? I don't see it normally. Nah.
Give me a moment. It's usually under the live streaming tab, but actually now I do it myself and it's not there. So I'll be able to get the answer for you in probably about 30 seconds if you filibuster.
I feel bad. So yeah, how does monetize? We got that. Don't lose your money. Oh, somebody asked, why don't you sell a course on growing your channel to 1 million? Because you have that experience.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I definitely could. I don't know if would people take that serious though if I'm at the moment on the downswing? I wonder about that.
I think you still have expertise though, in terms of, I mean, I believe that you would be able to get some sort of revenue from it. I mean, granted, I mean, you're easily within probably, I would say, definitely top 10% of YouTubers in terms of being able to grow close to $1 million in multiple different channels. I would say, I think I heard a statistic that 10% of YouTubers get to 10,000 subscribers, which I thought was pretty crazy. I thought 10% was pretty high. I thought maybe it was more like 2% or 3% get to 10,000 subscribers.
It depends on the genre. So 10,000 in finance is actually pretty good. 10,000 in gaming, you're a nobody. It really depends.
Okay, that's good insight.
No, but I appreciate the kind words people are saying about that. You know, if people do believe I have expertise and I could be of help, that's definitely a good idea.
Yeah, so This gentleman says, know that you're not an expert in all the content he gives on all your channels, so where's the best place to research to get content for your videos?
He must mean like the education, or like the what does he mean, you think?
Yeah, I don't know. Hidden Freedom Investor asked then, what type of content?
I think I know what he means. Yeah. So I wrote all of the videos myself. So you can also outsource writing. You got to be really careful who you get as a writer. I got good ones on Upwork.com. I also knew someone personally from my network who had a master's degree in linguistics and obviously made a very interesting writer, made great videos. I wrote them as well. Most of them did come from me within, and I did a lot of reading when I was younger. And people have called me the walking Wikipedia. So I don't really know how necessarily you would copy that, but I know definitely you can outsource it. So just be a well-read person, learn about the world, and you'll be able to write that stuff no problem.
Interesting. And then what was it else? That's more of a comment there. So investing, people just exchanging emails here. A person talking about me having a small portfolio. People chiming in on the SPHD, SPYD conversation. Yeah, some people chiming in that they do. Let's see. Somebody else was mentioning they hate SPHD. Hidden Freedom Investing said he hates SPHD. People are chiming in that it's a monthly pair.
Yeah, I seem not to be alone on this, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. But yeah, don't feel obligated to stay. I know you've probably been on here for more than an hour at this point, but I'm sure.
Actually, now is the perfect time. Yeah.
Now is the perfect time, and it's almost 12:30 my time. I got to get up and get to work. But I truly appreciate you stopping by, and I definitely want to keep in touch with you. So
sure.
That's really good. I need to reach out to you. You said you don't have Facebook or Instagram?
Yeah, I'm not a social media guy. Yeah. I got a Twitter, and I can send you my email as well. Okay. And I definitely appreciate the offer and would love to do that. You even mentioned a website too before. This might surprise you, but I actually like to write a lot more than I like to make videos. I'm more of a writer.
Okay. Interesting. So do you have anything like that?
I want to, but my concern is that no one would read it, which you seem to be offering the solution for.
Yeah, so we can definitely talk about that as well, because Kyle and I were thinking about how we can get folks kind of channeling in and offering potential affiliate sort of talks about that as well. So that could be.
Oh, shoot. I meant to ask, but I was going to ask if I could put my Twitter, but I hit enter by accident in the chat. I apologize for that.
I don't see it yet. I don't see it. It might take a minute for. Oh, there it is. Yeah, Byzantine. Okay, cool. So yeah, I think I don't have a Twitter. I'll double check. It's been a while since I've used it, but we can copy and get notes and stuff on that. But
yeah, if there's some way to privately send my email, obviously I don't want it public, but yeah, I'd be happy to.
Cool. So is there any other final closing words? I'm probably going to close the stream myself. Almost 4 hours in.
Yeah, no, you definitely have been here for the long haul, and it is I would say the ideal time for me to head out. So yeah, in summary, I took note of what you said. I think you had a good outsider's perspective. The whole like YouTube, man, it really puts down on you mentally.
Yeah,
it's hard. So like, it's very valuable to me to get an outsider's perspective, and also to just talk about issues I care about. And I just really appreciated you just spontaneously allowing me on the stream. It was a good time.
Yeah, no, any time you ever want to shoot me a message or anything like that, obviously use the comment section, and then I can try to see what Twitter's all about, and we could try to figure out a way to contact each other, whether it's through WhatsApp or something like that.
If you have an email, I can email you, because I don't expect you to sign up for Twitter just because just to get an email from me.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's I'll figure out a way. I don't want people to get my
yeah, so you understand.
Well, so we'll figure it out, but really appreciate you coming on, man. It's been a blast. We had a really good conversation about a whole bunch of different stuff, but curious to keep in touch and find out what ends up happening
as well.
Month after month, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I'll
Talk to
talk
you
to
later.
you guys soon. And I guess for the rest of you guys, really appreciate you guys. We had 18 people probably pretty consistently, and I saw we even got up to 25 people. In summary, just like what Top List had mentioned, really good conversations, 4 different people, 4 different perspectives, 4 different investing strategies. Really awesome. Couldn't have imagined this going any better unless, like, I don't know, PPC Ian showed up, but I will definitely take all good as a good second place prize for that. And then obviously a phenomenal conversation with Top List there, who has over 1 million subscribers across multiple accounts. And really curious. I mean, this is a really cool format. I personally like this format more than the previous formats where I'm kind of just rambling on for an hour. So really we're curious what you guys are thinking when this video kind of gets live. Now we're getting on close to 4 hours, but I'm sure it's going to take a while to process, but please let me know. Obviously people aren't going to really see this because it's 4 hours in and they're probably not watching for 4 hours. But for those of you, the 19 or 20 of you, when this actually does go live and you do see it in terms of it being loaded to YouTube and you are able to leave a comment, let me know what you thought. If you haven't already, hit the like button. For those of you that did the super chats, really thank you. Hidden Freedom Investing, you're good about always doing that. I appreciate that. Apologies that in StreamYard it doesn't show that, and definitely really like this stream. That's why I went for